Good evening. Good evening. Hi Sam, could you just confirm that you can hear me, my darling? Thank you for joining me. Let me just pop that onto there. Cool. And then I can see what I'm doing. Possibly, maybe. That would be good. There we are. Right. Hopefully people can hear me. Yeah. Hi Jill. Welcome, welcome. Can you hear me all right? I think you probably can actually. Right, let's mute that phone. Let's make sure that's all switched off. Coolly. Right, we're a little bit early. There's some more people coming in. That's always lovely to see. Thanks, Sam. Oh, heavens, there's an awful delay tonight, I think, between me asking and it actually getting onto Facebook. So just be aware that I might be a bit slow answering your questions. Good evening, Helen. Thank you for joining us this evening. Please feel free to invite your friends. That would be great. Good evening, Millie. Hello, Caroline. Hi, Sheila. Cool. And we're still ticking up and we're still just before... Have I had a ring of doom? It did last for a few seconds, I think. It's gone now. Hopefully it'll behave. Never quite know with the internet. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Alison. Thank you. I did a little bit of prep. I had an awful lot of pieces on my desk when I shared my project and recognised that we might be here all night if I didn't do some prep up front. And also I just wanted a little bit of play with the colouring. So let me just off mount some of this little lot because you really didn't need to see me doing every last bit of this. There we are. Then that can come off there and that can go up there. And we'll start with the pumpkins. So this kit, this is kit from Madhatters from last year. It'll be on their website. I also happen to know that it is on the Create and Craft website because I had a little quick visit that the other weekend as well. Along with the accessory pack and the mice accessory pack. I bought these last year before I joined Madhatters DT, but I thought if I didn't make them up now, they'd be sitting there until next year really. Now you're going to have to excuse me because I am not feeling great tonight. There might be a bit of snuffles around. And currently my voice is holding up, but that may not happen for much, the whole of the duration of the live. I'm afraid, but hopefully yes. So I'm actually using Stamperia paints this evening because the colours worked better for me. So I have got warm yellow, which to me is an orange tone rather than necessarily yellow. Corn, which is a softer yellowy orange with a red undertone to it, so not a primary yellow, and some brown to start with. And we've got these pieces to paint and a stray hair, so that's okay. So let's just pop that there. But as I say, I didn't think you really wanted me to. I have painted the backs of the pieces that need to be painted because this MDF layers, and so that's all cool, isn't it? So that's the plan, and we're just going to add a base layer of colour for this. And this is the same techniques that I used for the pieces that I've already completed, and I do have a fine detail brush out which I will use for the brown, but actually as there's a piece to go over that, it won't matter if I'm a little bit sloppy with that painting, because as I say, it's got a layered element to go over the top of it anyway. So this is going to be an upright piece. It's got its own stand in the pack, and and dimensional, and then we're going to add hopefully some natural elements and some faux foliage and things to pull it all together, because that's cool, isn't it? And I need to make sure I don't get paint in that slot at the bottom, because otherwise I'll never get it into its holder. There we are, so that can go onto there. So I'm just going to give it a base coat. The paint will sink into the brown etch lines for the details, and I will be able to see them quite clearly as it dries, and then we're going to add some layers on top. Clearly was feeling very stingy when it comes to that warm yellow paint. As I say, by the time it's got the brown undertone of of the MDF, it actually is a very lovely pumpkin colour. So let's just do the edges of here. We're needing to put some more of that out. So there we are, that can go on to there. Let's just smooth that through. So I'm just wanting to add some highlighting, so here I'm adding the paler colour into here, and I will come back in and mix it. And this is the joy of using paints and being able to layer. So I'm mixing some more of my warm in with that, and then I can spread those colours out, so I don't have a completely monotoned finish. It might not show brilliant, so well on air, but actually the tonal colour changes do show in the finished piece. And I'm just blending in the edges so that it doesn't look like I have literally just plonked it on there. There we are. So I've also got on here some chocolate brown. Now then, let me just lick this. Good evening, Joan even. There we are. No, I'm not. Yeah, I know it's unusual. I was perfectly well this morning, so I'm just going to pick up some paint on most of the edge of that and a little bit of the brown chocolate colour, and just mix them through. And this is going to allow me to add, I need a bit more of the brown into there, I've knocked it back too much, some shading. I don't know that you're going to be able to see that, so let's just into here along my edge, the edges. So shading is really quite important in terms of bringing your pieces to life, and I can then knock the colour back into the main body. So bit of yellow, bit of black, brown. Am I a painting perfection expert? Absolutely am I not. But is it worth the effort of doing the layering? I think so. There we are. Because you can see, you can start to see that it will help to just add some details to the pieces. By doing that, and I can go back over, I can merge my colours, I can pick up some of this browny colour, pop it underneath the edge and come round. It's just going to add some extra depth to my piece, and I want it both sides of the curves. And then to make my life easy, I'm going to turn my piece around and come down softly. I haven't got an angled brush out tonight, and that was intentional because I think a lot of people don't have them in their crafty stash, and so I just thought I'd go with what more people were likely to have and show that you can still blend quite effectively with your paints if you layer them, and then a bit of finger painting really doesn't go amiss. It drags the colours together. But it just will help add some extra details in to my piece. Put some shading underneath where it is naturally going to have some shading, and add some more of the orange to add to it. As I say, it might be time consuming, I don't know. It took me a while, but it's not a difficult technique to do, and it just will, as I say, it's going to add and if I want, I can add some more colour coming up from the bottom, and I can add some more pale back in. And I'm not worrying about about the colours mixing, because the reality of life is that pumpkins aren't as, natural things are not a single thing, and actually all of the colours will merge into each other quite happily. There we are. So I've got some variation in there, and then I'm afraid we've got a bit of rinse and repeat because we've got a few of these to do, but that's exactly why I did it the way I did. Good evening, Sabine, welcome, thank you very much. Painting, I'm very much a paper crafter and a resin crafter, so I enjoy the challenge of these, because actually you might be surprised to know, ladies, there is not a bit of paper or a piece of resin in this piece at all tonight. I'm very much aware that not everyone has everything, not everyone can afford everything, and more importantly, you don't need to have everything. It's just not possible. There are too many companies producing too many things on a regular basis, to be able to buy every single thing that comes out. Even from our go-to companies, there are definite limits as to what's affordable and what's not. And this style of painting, if I'm painting my resin or doing a full-on mixed media piece, then I would absolutely be priming first so I get the true colour of my paints. But for this, I don't need to at all, because actually the tone of the wood coming through really will help with the overall appearance of the finished piece. So I think it's just it's good, isn't it, to do things that don't involve lots, that allow you to break the rules, but to break the rules with purpose and knowing why you're breaking the rules. So let's just add some of that into there. And then let's brush that out and through, shade it in. As I say, it's a multi-step process, is this? It's not a you know, you won't, I'm deliberately not having to overwork all of this little lot. Oh yes, I've deliberately chosen the Stamperia paints this evening because A, I've got them, B, and I can't use them on Pentart leaves for obvious reasons, but more, and perhaps more importantly, the colour mix was better, I felt, for, you know, if the ones I had was better for the shades that I wanted to achieve for the project. So yeah. But if all you've got is the Pentart ones, then the Pentart ones will work just as well. And in fact, if you've got Cadence, shush my mouth, because I'm not a fan of Cadence, not that you'd ever know that, but if you've got Cadence or Deco Art or whatever, this is about the colours that you're using more than anything else. So let's go back to our tip, side, swipe, and then I can add, with a bit of luck, she says. That was way too much, we'll sort that out. I need that round the edge of there anyway. So if you make a mistake, make a horrible splodgy mess, don't stress. Paint it out. It's really not a problem. You can see bit by bit, just by working that, I will be able to take that through, and I can add some orange back over. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then I can take off some of that brown. There we are. So all I'm doing is following the etch lines that Wendy has put into here. She's put some extra bits in the bottom and then working them through. And where I don't want it, I will add some more paint over. And yeah, I'm building some texture and some colour variation, and that's also cool, isn't it? Because it is just adding. I do need to knock it out though. It's a mistake not to. There we are. Okay, so let's turn that round. And the other thing that's happening, by mixing my brown in with the orange, I'm tonally keeping the orange in the piece, which again helps to blend it all together. There we are. I'll say that piece doesn't matter because actually it's not going to be obvious by the time we've finished with it. By putting the darker colour in and then going back over, I'm adding my texture, I'm adding my details. And I can go back and forth, but yeah, maybe not spend as long on a live as I might in real life, but that's also fine. In real life, well, of course it's real life, I'm not alive, but I think you ladies know what I mean, that if I'm painting this without any time constraints, then I might take, you know, myself a bit longer to you know, with the shading of things. But yeah, as long as, where I would have a problem is if I suddenly grabbed some black and added completely the wrong colour. But by doing this, and layering it in, I'm able to just bit by bit add lots of colour variation into my piece. And hopefully by doing that I don't have a piece that looks entirely flat. So that one can sit there. I could have used Pentart. In fact, I have, except that the colour ranges were the colours I felt, or the colours that I had, didn't quite work for me. So because I had this bright orange, but I felt this was a nicer one. I had a bright yellow, but that wasn't right. I didn't have the correct tonal ones, and I'd got red clay, and I've used all of those for pumpkins on different projects. But I just wanted, I just felt that I just wanted something that was different. The paints themselves are acrylics, and they will, they all worked perfectly well for blending. I do think the acrylics work better for blending than the chalky paints, to be fair, just because of the chalk content in them. And I do think sometimes you're better off sticking with a family of paints. So if you're using a chalky paint, that you carry on with a chalky paint rather than mixing them up. And I just didn't have the colours that I really wanted. So that's why I did what I did. And I'm working these colours sort of down, and I know that I'm going to come back over some of these, so that's less of a problem. I've got a fine brush that I can go back over that bit, so hey ho. When I come back to the brown in a minute, I can sort that out. I've got a very fine brush. There we are. We'll pick that up. Let's knock that pale one off there. Let's go back to this sort of muddy mix that I'm mixing together. So, what's everyone got planned for the rest of the evening? We're all very quiet in the chat tonight. Are we busy? What have we got? Have we got some nice things planned? Let's see Martin in tonight. I know he said that he was about to start a series of days off, so that's or two shifts off from his thing. So there we are. So pumpkins in various shades of browns are coming together. See, that's the prep I did. you'll have yes, you're working way too hard, Sam. You just look after yourself. But it's good to be busy, isn't it, and doing things, and I'm sure we will all look forward to seeing the new stuff as it comes out, and what you're bringing to telly. I'm sure it will be fabulous. There we are. It's amazing what a finger will do. Right, let's shuffle that into there. So we've got so that is garden green, and this is leaf green. Ugh, she says squishing way too much out. And Militaria Chiaro. Now heavens only knows how long I've had that one, because it's still with our with the Italian words on it, and they haven't done that for a wee while. So let me just retrieve the bits that are going to need green putting onto them, and then we can deal with these. I'm sure it will be fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So let's just add some of these greens, and again I've picked a mixture of colours so that I can blend and I don't have completely flat things, if that makes sense, because leaves are not a single shade. There we are. So that's that one. That's that one. That can go there. We might be here a little while with the painting, but hey ho, such is life. So it's good, isn't it, to be able to do things. It's also good to go and raid your stash and do a stash busting exercise. Right, so these again were part of the accessories packs from last year's release. So it's a fern frond, isn't it? I think is the correct word for it. There we are. Mix those colours in. Good evening, Wendy. How are you, my darling? I trust all is well, and that you've returned very safely from a blustery holiday, I think, haven't you? There we are. Good evening, Blanche. Welcome to the live. And hi, Terry. Thank you so much for joining me. That is so appreciated. And I've been very spoilt today, ladies. Terry had and Teresa from Decoupage Queen had an auction the other night, and there was a piece that I absolutely wanted, totally and utterly loved, and I bid for it and got it. And then I have the sweetest messages today and tell me it's been posted and that it's a gift to me as a fellow creative. So I am going to ultimately pay that forward, because I would have happily spent. So I shall be working out which of my local charities might well benefit from some extra money, because I just think that that's a lovely idea. and I was so surprised, and yeah, I can't tell you how made up I was by it. Because it was just such this lovely thing to do. So yeah, I will pay that forward, and because I think that when you're offered something that you're not expecting, and you can, then I think it's a lovely thing to do. So that can go there. Those need to dry a little bit. Right, let's give that brush a little wobble. So Terry, I haven't got any rice papers out tonight, and I haven't got any, in fact I haven't got any papers out. Kindness is absolutely always the best surprise. You are not wrong. Right, now then. Oh, I've still got a leaf I haven't managed to do. Well, that wasn't intelligent, was it? There we are. Let's do the edge. See, that was part of my prep, so I can, because so this is a dimensional piece, so it will be visible from, you know, long term. So let's just basically pop in something that looks like a leaf there. So it doesn't have to be the world's most accurate, and let's just do the edges of that. But this is about attention to detail as much as anything else, and there we are. So hopefully I've done all of that. So let's just add in some brown on the back. It is the back of the piece. I could spend forever shading this and adding in the lines, but life's too short. Life is way too short. But I do want it to look nice. If someone gives it a cursory look, I didn't want it to be completely unpainted on the back. There we are. Oh, it's cool. So if you can hear a noise, it's my fan heater going on in the background, because I felt it needed to be, well, it's a little cool in my conservatory, and because I've got a bug of some description, I didn't want to add insult to it by getting even colder. There we are. So that can sit there, she says, throwing everything around the place. That can go there, that can go there, that can go there, that can go there. Right, excellent. So this piece doesn't have an add-on. So now I really will drive people mad. This is not quite a one-haired brush. But if you're doing things like this, then it really is worth getting yourself a nice detailed brush to get into the tiny areas. So this is what it's a size 10, if that makes sense to anyone. There we are. Sorry, my eyesight means I need to have that up at my, and that's a brush that I need to look after. onto there. Now I'm actually going to add in some of the shades onto the fronts of these of the orange, so it's not a flat brown. There we are. Yeah, pumpkins. Oh, that can be brown. That one can just be green, brown even. She says it is the back, and it's going to be layered, so a lot of that probably won't even show from the back. There we are. So let's just stick that off over the side of there. That's going to have, I don't know, that's going to have a layered piece on there. So let's go back to our fine brush for this. As I say, it's absolutely so worth having detailed brushes when it comes to doing intricate pieces or intricate parts. It just will give you a nicer finish overall, and it avoids having to touch up quite so much. Good evening. Hi Tracy. There we are. Let's just, you can see I'm not precious about. One of the reasons I did put the stuff into in all together was to, so that I could. Yeah, I think it's outside. We'll find out. So that I didn't contaminate my paints in their pot, because I'm deliberately mixing for these makes. But I wouldn't choose to have it, want them mixed in the pots. And actually, to be fair, the Pentart pots you can stick, you can stick your brush in very easily. The Stamperia pots are designed to squirt stuff out. They're a bit more liquid. They're still pretty pigment dense, but they're not as pigment dense, I think, as the Pentart ones. I might be doing them a disservice, but I don't believe that they are quite as deep. There we are. Okay, let's get rid of some of that brown off there and swap to a flat. Where's my nice flat that I have? There's my nice flat. So I'm deliberately allowing some of these colours to mix in. So absolutely, I was rather hoping that actually by doing this I might encourage people to have a look at the website for Wendy, and B, if they've already got the kits, to get it out before the end of the season arrives. So let's just pop some of that over there. We do have I'm going to have a little bit of a tidy down in a minute, because I think we need a bit of a tidy. Not much of this base is going to be visible, ladies, by the time I have finished, so we're just going to literally slop some paint on it, because by the time I've added all my elements, only snippets are going to be going through. It's not quite as simple as slop. There is some degree of logic to what I'm doing. So basically I'm working in threes, even with this. As I say, a lot of this isn't going to be seen, but and the colours will mute through and self-mix, so that's also very good. And I'm using up this paint, which is also another very good move, isn't it, rather than wasting. So I've got some green, so let's just add some bits of green, merge that in. There we are. If you're mixing with your wet paints, then you know the colours will merge nicely. And I'm going to get a real variegated base, and that's, yeah, rather than it all appearing to be flat and a single colour. And yeah, that is about going back over and layering, mixing while the paints are wet, so that they shade through together. So I'm hoping it might look a little bit like, you know, maybe a turned up field or some grass or whatever. But there we are, there we are. That will work. So let's stick that currently down on the floor. And we will be coming back to painting in a minute, but we're going to do a bit of layering to get things under control, and then we might do a bit of dry brushing. So whilst that is drying, let's just clear that mess. Aha, there it is, because that's, hey, doesn't look very nice. Might have been very functional for me, but it's going to allow me to do this. And we're going to have the inevitable, aren't we? We're going to have the stuff off screen if we're not very careful. So let's just pop that onto there. Right, so that piece layers onto there. Aha! And I am literally using stuff up. Stuff that has been around, that has been neglected, that really needs to be used at the moment. So that's a knife. I don't want the knife, I want the pokey tool. It seems like a good idea. Yeah, she says, poking that into herself. Such a good idea at the time, a retractable pokey tool, but the mechanism is an absolute pain in the proverbial. And can I get that to go out? Can I heck? So I apologise. There we are. Let's see if we can get some. Right. When all else fails, we'll just have a big chop. There we are. We've got, as I say, I know that I am using stuff up, so that's cool. I'll wipe what's the splodge that I've just put on the front of that off. And line this up. Make sure I have got it lined, because otherwise it will not go in as the piece. and grab a baby wipe. There we are. Line that up, line that up, make sure it is all lined up. So that bit's going on there. Good evening, Debbie. That piece is going to go onto there. Cool. Now, one of the things with PVA glue is that it often is shiny, and when it's dry it might be clear, but shine is not clear. Shine shows. So that can go on there. That piece can line onto there. So those need to grab whilst we do the next bit. So I have in the kit, there were, oh, there we are, cool. And I've got those bits. So before I throw this lot away, there we are. So these are literally just wooden blocks. I've stuck two 1-inch blocks together here, and for reasons that will become clear, it can be stuck on that way, and I'm going to use these as spacers and to stabilise some of the additional elements. And these are 1/2-inch blocks, I think, maybe 1 centimetre. So I will quite often use little bobbins as spacers, but it's also quite a good trick to, you know, these can be picked up in bags of 50 to 100 relatively cheaply, and sometimes they're easier than just stacking pieces of leftover MDF, and they're definitely neater than stacking pieces of leftover MDF, because they all, she says, getting rid of the muck off her hands, because they will at least they're all even. And there we are. So let's just shuffle that lot out of the way. So this is grey. Have I got 2 lots of grey? So one of my bugbears with Stamperia is that they've taken to selling, particularly on Selly Telly, we don't want quite such a small brush, but we will have one of those. Paints in pre-made selections. Actually, let's go back to that, because we've got another little pumpkin here. So that, essentially you end up going back to buy, if you buy them for each collection, you then end up getting lots of pots of paint, and there's very few places nowadays that have the whole range as single purchase paints. I know Create and Craft sometimes do have, but they don't always. So I've just picked, this is a Warhammer paintbrush, because they have lots of smaller ones. Cool. So there is and I haven't got a pumpkin on there, so let's just look after that. Right. Good evening, Stuart. Welcome, welcome. My screen isn't updating at the moment, I don't think. And good evening, Lisa. So I now want a flat brush again. Do I have more than one flat brush? Yeah, I do have more than one flat brush. Do I know where I've put the nice ones that I haven't cream crackered? Nah. So, there we are. So we're going to add, we've got a little base layer of colour. Okay, we have got a hat there. So, but then we're going to do it in the same way as I did the pumpkins. We're going to add some colours and some shading. So let me just wipe off most of that onto a brush, and then I've got some pale grey, which I thought we might do the tail in. I'll have a paler body. She says, having picked up some orange, that wasn't very helpful, was it? And more orange. Let me just wipe that off there. There we are, and then we'll sort it out. There we are. We can add that back in. There we are, and we'll right. Little body, little body, 2 arms, a little bit of a leg, fine paintbrush. There we are. He's going to be sitting on something, so that's less of a problem. There we are. Don't worry, Faith, these things are sent to try us, and this is anthracite, so dark. And then I can pop the arms in. There we are. So just by adding that darker grey in and then feathering it through, I've got a little bit more definition. Take off what you don't want. There we are. And I've got a black pen, but I can't go near that with a black pen until I have that dried. Now then, what did I do? I know what I did. So on the hat we're going to have a nice dark brown, a dark grey even. Can you see what I'm doing? There we are. Let's move that over into there. You might be able to see a bit better there, mightn't you? There we are. Okay. And let's just repeat the said process for this one whilst that is drying. So this is a different mouse that comes in. I like the fact that there's left and right handed ones. No problem, my darling. You just make sure you look after yourself, because that's way more important than watching anything else. My darling, it's sort of, looking after yourself is more, and you've had a very stressful couple of days, so there we are. Let's just pop that onto there. So much detail in these pieces, which is lovely. But a pain when it comes to the painting. But ultimately, to be fair, it is what will make your piece look nice at the end of the day, is the fact that you've got all of this detail in. I'm going to worry about that in a minute. There we are. Let's get rid of that orange, which we're not so keen on, and re-brighten that tail whilst we've got paint out. Okay. Now we need to come back to our fine brush. There we are. Let's get rid of some of that. See, there we are, we're coming together quite nicely. Right, so this is the purple that I have from Pentart, from Stamperia, which is too pale. I wanted something more with a darker colour to it for the hat, so hence I've got my beloved Pentart Decor Paint Softs out. I don't very often use purple, so that's probably why I didn't have very much in my stash, because as I say, it wouldn't be one of my go-to colours. There's lots and lots and lots of detail in these MDF kits. It just is lovely. They're very, very cute. They are very cute. There we are. Let's lid that. And we're going to go back to Stamperia, and this is Ancient Pink, which is a very soft pink for the inside of the ears. I'll stick with my things. Now, because I'm one of the joys of working onto the neat MDF is that it automatically mutes the colours, because you get the vintagey brown coming through from the MDF. There we are. We will be adding some colour details in with a black pen, and we'll be adding the eyes in a minute as well. There we are. Okay, so let's just take some of that brown and add in the brush handle. Let's pop some ivory. And again, I've gone ivory rather than partly because it's a softer colour, and I didn't particularly want stark white. And I've deliberately mixed it in with some of the brown to give me the bits for the bristles for the brush. There we are. Okay. Let us find our very tiny brush. So the eye is there. I think the eye is there. We'll add our little eyes in. I'm going to add just a little bit more of that grey into there. Tidy up his body. There we are, that's better. And we can tidy up his body as well from there. And then we will have a little pink nose. Both of them. They can then sit and dry, maybe. Those are just little markings on there, right? Those can be in black pen in a minute. So I have some mushrooms. Now, this one came from the original kit. This one comes from one of the newer kits. But I didn't use this one, the mushrooms on my live the other day, so I just thought that that would be sensible. And I'm going to deliberately add a little bit of the brown. You know, the colour mixing that I tend, that just softens the colour, adds a little bit of depth. There's a little bit of lining underneath there, so it's all not a completely flat. Because they're not completely flat, are they? And we're having a thank you. I know we're going to go over the hour, ladies, but I think, you know, you can't do a decent it's almost impossible to do a full-on mixed media project without in an hour. It always involves a bit of prep, but to be fair, these are the last pieces and then it will come together quite quickly. But there we are. So let's get the lid on that. Let's give this a bit of a dry, because I need to add some white highlights onto some of these. And some black highlights, and I can't do that whilst these are wet, because I will cream cracker A, my brushes, and B, the black pen. And there are just some areas that I think really do benefit from having a little bit of pen work added to them. Okay. So we've got our tiny brush. So I can add a tiny dot into the eye. There we are, 2 eyes. Right, I'm going to take those out of there, because the problem with your very fine brushes, if you leave them dangling in pots of water, then you really will ruin them, or you'll ruin the ends of them. So there we are. So let's just add in. So this is literally just, a fine black pen. That's going to allow me to pop some of the detail back in to my piece, and I'm just reinforcing the etch lines that are already there. I might be better off if I waited a little bit for it to dry a bit more, but there we are. But it definitely makes a difference. There we are. It just provides somewhere for your eyes to rest and pick up the fact that there's a transition. There's an obvious mistake, so let's correct that out while we're at it. There we are, that looks better. That looks better. Put that into there. Okay, right, let's see if we can, well, that was clever, wasn't it, because that was wet. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, the etch lines are on here that tell me where to put the extra details. So it's just making my life very simple at this point. Right. For good measure, that can go over there. That can go over there. That can go over there, those can go there, that can go there. Excellent. Cool. Let's move that over there. Move that over there. Right. Now then, we might need a bit of jiggery pokery at this point. To get this all lined up. It's never so easy when it's partly wet. There we are, one in, one right lined up. So I got it round. Well, it would help, wouldn't it? There we are. That will definitely make life much easier if you get it round the right way. There we are. So we're going to pop those in there. Give that a little bit of a shove. Well, that one's gone in perfectly, so why aren't you going in perfectly? Oh, that's because I haven't got those two completely aligned. We'll worry about that because it's not going to be a problem. It really isn't. Okay. Well, it might be, no, it won't be a problem. Let's just pop that into, so that's my fault, ladies, because I haven't quite got these two pieces completely aligned. So when all else fails, you take a sanding block, and I thought I think it must have moved as I put it down, and just give it a little bit of a file. So you say it is entirely my fault. Nothing to do with the kit because I haven't put that. Good evening, Anya. We're doing an autumn piece and I've misaligned my MDF. So I'm just giving it a little file so the slots will go together. As I say, it's my fault. But it's good sometimes to show people what's going on and how to get themselves out of a pickle if they get themselves into a pickle. Right, hopefully A into B will now go. Hey, there we are. I don't really want to take a hammer to it today. There we are. So they're reasonably aligned. And excuse the pack of baby wipes, but we're just going to need that there. So as I said, I did a bit of prep ahead of time, and I did do a bit of dry brushing. Can I see my white? So we will do a little bit as we put this together. Actually, I think what I actually did was pop it all together first. So I have, because I sort of know where I'm going. I want my trio that I prepped to see how it would work together. So this one is going to go there, and the reason I've put these blocks on is that it's just going to give me something for these to balance on. There will be some areas that are in contact with the floor, but not all. And that's going to, I'm going to pop some of those under there just temporarily. Those will come out long term. So we have another piece to go there, another piece to go there. So, am I missing one? Maybe not. So we're going to pop that there, and pop him on there. And these ones I'm going to put flat. So that's going to sit on there. And that means I've got space under here, I think, to wedge, yeah, a leaf. There we are, that can sit under there, and then that is going to go onto there. Okay. And then we've got our little Oops. This one is going to sit very forward, so let me just put that there. That can go there, and he can sit onto there. We'll just move that down a little bit, and he is going to sit on there with, oh, I could put that further, him further forward again, but we're not going to. So we're now going to add in some extra greenery, because it's going to help fill in the spaces. Oh, I don't stress about it, darling. I'm absolutely, totally, but I do think it's good that people know that sometimes you just have to accept that I needed to have painted the back of him, but hey ho, there we are. Let's just move that over there, and he's going to rest slightly forward from there. And I've still got some bits and pieces, so that's going to sit. I think we might tuck that one into there. So that's the leaves. There we are, and we'll pop that one onto the top of there. And then we've got a nice big mushroom that can tuck into there. And we've got a little mushroom. He's not glued down, so that would be sensible, wouldn't it? There we are, let's just mop that onto there. He's going to sit in front of him, and do I want him? Or do I want that? I think, wow, I think we might just pop that. Yeah, we're going to pop that one. Tucked it right down there. Yeah, that can go into there. That can go in there. We'll turn him up. We'll just mop that extra glue off there. Okay. So let's just now take a little bit of white paint and a scrubby brush. And you can see I've barely got anything on this brush. What it is doing is allowing me to pick up the edges, the texture, adding another layer of detail. And on my mouse it's adding a little bit of fur texture, if that makes sense. this is definitely something where you are better off going back several times with thin layers than trying to do it all in one go. Yeah, it might. Okay. So let's just add a few more bits onto there so it's at an angle. I want to cover, as I say, some of this base, and so we have, and I had to go and buy a new hot glue gun as well part way through today because my other one decided to give up the ghost. So we've got some bits here, and these are just some leaves because why not? And might not put the acorns in, I think they might not work, but we've got some, and we've got some berries, and I did have some apples. She says we do have some apples, so let's just take these off their pieces. And let's just leave those. Right, let us hope that brand new hot glue gun now needs to warm up. There we are. So the intention is, thank you Blanche, is to take some of this unwieldy sisal. Oh Liz, well, are you home? There we are. We're going to poke some of this in and out and around. There we are. You really don't need very much of things like this sisal. It goes a long way. We'll control that in a minute. We have some plans. Right. This is a brand new glue gun. If it doesn't work, I should be most unimpressed. I think I just have to be patient, don't I? I did buy two. Come on. Right, when all else fails, we'll resort to some extra pieces. Oops. There we are. My voice is just about holding up, I think. There we are. Let's see if this glue gun is now working. Yay! I like it when a plan comes together. So there we are. Let's just add in a little apple there. We've got some little berries, so why not? Just because I've got them lurking in my stash, so they can go into there. We might add another glue stick to the mix and pop that into there, and we might then, let me see, let's just shovel that into there. That can go down into there. Let's just some of that right back into there. Yeah, I think we might stick you down into there. And let us take another scrubby brush, because they're too white, all of that lot, too bright or all of that lot. We might just need add a little bit of dry brushing onto those, because they're definitely too bright red as they are at the moment. There we are. Let's just tackle that lot with some hot glue gun. There we are. Right, excellent. And then it's just a question of faff. We're good at faff, aren't we? Well, I'm good at faff. And that can go down there. We'll tackle some of that underneath there. Once the glue and stuff is dried, I can come in and I can do a haircut on some of these pieces of sisal that I'm adding. At the moment, it's wet. Oh, she says. There we are. There we are. We'll just do a haircut there, seeing as that's being a nuisance. As I say, I can do judicious haircuts on these once it's all dry. I can do a bit of a haircut now. Because there's definitely a limit to the amount of this that you actually do need. Because otherwise it takes over. And it probably needs a good shake in a minute to get rid of some of this stuff. There we are, that's better. That can tuck underneath there so it doesn't look so obvious. Faff, Annie, do you know what? Do you not understand what faff means? It's an English term for messing about, playing, changing your mind, deciding you want something somewhere different, adding all the extra bits and pieces. If that makes sense. Yeah. There we are. We'll get that out there. So, we might just call it a day at that. We might not. We might carry on and faff and just add. I'm using that word again, aren't I? It's the faffing that makes the difference. It really does make such a huge difference. there we are. So ladies, and I am I think that anyone who does lots of mixed media style pieces does a lot of faffing, making decisions, changing our minds, repositioning. You know, I might add some more bits. I might decide that I am going to put some of my acorns in. I might add a few more leaves. There's lots of bits that might just happen. But I'm hoping that this evening, ladies, I've encouraged you to, if you've already got the kit, to actually get it out and get on and use it. There we are, she says, still faffing. If you haven't already got the kit, that you might want to go and buy one, or use some of Wendy's latest pieces. So that is all for tonight. I hope that I've managed to teach you or show you some things that are a little bit different. Just a little heads up, I am live for Pentart on Pentart's page. Let me just move that down so it's more in line. There we are. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock UK time, and we are doing a project that I have entitled Winter Wonderland, and that's a bit more of a typical project for me with resin and paper. So that's all for tonight, ladies. Please do take care, stay safe whatever you're doing, and hopefully I'll see some of you live tomorrow night. Bye.